Well, good morning, everybody. This is why we buy tents. We buy lots of tents in this business, and sometimes they last and hold up, and thankfully mine did. My friends and neighbors had a little more trouble with theirs. They are working on drying a bunch of stuff out. Thankfully, they mainly brought things that can get wet, so these showers are supposed to stop. We actually have had a bunch of people shopping. We've all made sales, and so, you know, people, if you're a serious collector, this does not faze you. A little harder on us than the collectors. They just bundle up and go shop anyway. Well, we have about the most intrepid group of shoppers behind us. And hello, everybody. There's Sandy from Flippin' Van Life and Kate from Follow That Bug Vintage, and they are here having fun with me in the rain, and wow, it is wet. They got my orange decanter this morning, and now look what they got. Where in the world did you find this thing?
It was on the inside. We saw it this morning. We said if we didn't spend enough money, we'll come back and buy it.
Wow, it's just fantastic. I have never seen one disguised as a tree before, and I've seen a lot of these. That is just amazing. So tell me your name.
Brandy.
And Brandy came all the way from Parkersburg, West Virginia for this. And I'm sorry you came on such a wet day, but I'm so glad you came.
I'm George.
Well, we have been selling up a storm during a storm. I can't believe how well that things have been going considering the weather and all of the circumstances here, but we're having a lot of fun. And we are going to show you a little bit of the setup, what's left of it. I mean, I have sold a ton of good stuff. I'll get to add to this tomorrow with some new things because I have things that couldn't go out in the weather, paper and that sort of item, but I have sold a lot out of almost every category, even though there's a lot of every category left because, you know, that's just how I roll. Just had a nice Fenton sale. Sold a lot of mid-century glass, everything big and orange, except for that epic picture, which is epic. So hopefully that will sell. It's been a fun show so far. There's a pair of fondy earrings, the gold and black centered on the bottom there. That's a 1980s mark, and that is a good set from the 80s. 80s jewelry is coming back in style along with the fashion. I still have some of the sterling and guilloche and enameled compacts. And now that the weather is better, everybody is a little bit more active than they were because, well, it was blustery and really difficult. It's still pretty blustery though. So I'm gonna go bug the neighbors because they have cool stuff, some of which they bought for me a long time ago. So somebody please come and buy it so I don't have to feel guilty that they still have it. $18 on the older Fenton in the blue. That seems like a really good price. They bought these for me. I feel like buying them back because now I have the vase and another piece to go with them. It's funny how that happens. Sometimes you just don't hold dates long enough. This is very pretty, the opalescent. $40, that's got a nice glow to it. Prices are good. I know Jocelyn from Crazy Lamp Lady came and bought a bunch of stuff from them. Bischoff glass, I like decanters of all sorts. That's a neat little squat. And yes, the clear stopper on a Bischoff is correct. They did polish, but they didn't often do stoppers that were the same color as the base. Okay, so Sarah and Jason, my friends and neighbors and viewers, you will recognize the wrinkles. They have some really pretty stuff. This is Morgantown Peking Blue, a 1930s color. Look at the gracefulness of these stems. Elegant depression glass is different than depression glasses you think of from Oates boxes or Shirley Temple movies because it does not have flaws. It's fire polished. They did not put seconds out, so it tends to be very graceful. Morgantown went on for many years and did a lot of really fun modernist patterns in the 1960s, including 8-ball and the ball cocktail set that's slanted. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to buy back the Mauve agate candlestick holders I sold her, but now I have something they would go with, so maybe I will do it. There's another piece of Royal Haeger that's cute here. These seem to be Carlo Moretti. That was the research and attribution that Sarah found, and it does look right to me. And this is a Haeger piece also. I really like this with the teal. And there's our friend, half of Willie Joe.
Well, these are things I cannot find anything out about it, so I'm hoping maybe you can tell me something.
Oh, how fun. Wow. Okay, well, let's take a look. Oh, that's cool. I just sold the Dutch Boy lamp, actually, and that's definitely 50s, very cool. Would have sat in some sort of a paint store on top of a counter. And Oh gosh, I mean, the lamp sold with its original shade, which was a good thing for 2, I think, or somewhere around that with shipping. And I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't more valuable as an advertising piece because it's a little easier to ship and deal with, and it's big, and you know, people who like figural doll type things would like it.
But yet, I kind of find myself a little bit of a crush on this guy.
Well, his hands are creeping me out a little bit, I have to say.
Completely, yes. Like, I can't find any kind of maker on them, but look, they look like little monkey hands. Like,
yeah, they absolutely. I think they use the same mold.
It's just slapped on a different face.
Oh, that's so funny. Yes, because they look a lot like the. Yes. Oh boy. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh wow! And look at this. This is so fantastic. Buster Brown out of a shoe store, and my guess, this looks like it's. This probably is masonite. It's some sort of a press board, and the rubber stop. Yep. Wow, that's great. The rubber treads, and it's even got the handhold. Nice worn paint. This is really good. I mean, it's plywood, and it's maybe masonite or something similar, and just something that somebody made. But it was made for a shoe store, obviously.
Right. And I cannot find anything about it at all. And some Buster Brown sells for nothing, and some Buster Brown sells for thousands.
Well, I would think this would sell pretty well because I think it's folksy, and I think because it's pretty obvious that this was done for a shoe store. No kid wore that much. And unless they had 11 kids or something. And why would they, if they had 11 kids, they don't have time to be doing this. So I feel like that's actually pretty special because it's from some small town, and, you know, maybe they had the franchise and they had permission, but they had to do their own thing. It looks like a screen paint. Like
it does.
Maybe they ordered this and put it on. Yeah, it's really cool. And I'm making you hold a very heavy thing while I tell you it's probably worth, I would think, $250 to $350 at least.
That's what I'm kind of thinking.
Good.
Yeah.
It is a glorious sunny Sunday morning here at Springfield Antique Show in Ohio. If we'd had this kind of weather Friday, I would have probably gone shopping sooner, but it's Sunday morning and this is my chance to go look around. So I'm leaving my booth closed. This is what the closed booth looks like, covered up. I did sell something while I was here, but I am going to go shopping because I'm pretty depleted. I've got some really cool stuff left, but wow. Lots of empty spaces. Now, I sold a lot of glass, and I know a lot of the glass dealers have been through, but I heard that somebody was doing sales inside one of the buildings, so that's where I'm headed. I like this rather complicated looking rattan 1970s desk phone stand. It would have originally had a glass surface there that you could replace, and then it's got room for probably the phone book in the old days, but it seems like there'd be a lot of storage. It'd be a nice hall stand right by a door. Something you could use to put your shoes on before you leave. I loved My Favorite Martian as a kid. This is the Martian Magic Tricks box from Gilbert. They made things like erector sets. Well, I'm intrigued by this sign. I've never seen this here before. It says it's the youth building and it's the Nashville show at the Springfield Extravaganza. So I'm betting that we're gonna see large traditional interiors set up more like a fancy show in the South would be. And this will be something different to see. And yes, this definitely looks more like a traditional show in Nashville with a lot of primitives, which is nice. There's certainly demand for these. A lot of older oak pieces as well. Furniture done in large vignettes where you can see individual pieces. They don't tend to do a lot of smalls at the shows, the fancy shows in Nashville. They tend to do a lot of displays that are more like this, where you take it home and you set it up and it looks just like this in your home. And it really is beautiful, and they've got some great stuff. The diamond die cabinet, that's one of the harder ones to find. That's priced at $18.95. Typically you see a lot of art in shows like this as well because they have to make a real impression and do well with a limited number of items. So you're going to see individual pieces that are more desirable and more expensive. This is a Hudson River School painting in the Lake Champlain era, and you can tell the frame is early and it looks like it's oil gilded. It's got the right crackling and speckling for something that would be 150 years old. They're asking $1,100 for that. This one was $3,200 and it is sold. This is Marion Sloan. Landscapes are really becoming popular again. And this one's from the 1870s. A couple of wonderful old toll painted trays.
The one on the top could be as early as the 1830s or 40s. So you'll see a lot of true antiques in these displays, which is really fun. Look at the wonderful design on some of these old boxes as well. The little 19th century box has a little bit of an inlay to look like piano keys, like a spinet piano. Isn't that cute? These have some wonderful shell inlay. Another really great collection of boxes. You have tea boxes and things used as caddies for other beverages. This is a nice rosewood box here. This would have been to hold your tobacco and pipes. You can see the holders in there. This is the fellow who has Beauchamp Antiques, and you're out of New Bern, North Carolina. And it shows because you have really wonderful things that we see in the South that we don't see up in this area too much. And it's some really nice art, and I really love the collection of boxes. You just have great stuff.
Thank you.
Quilts are definitely a part of this kind of decorating, and this is a Victorian era quilt. We see a lot of 1930s quilts when people didn't have money and had lots of time, but this one is earlier, and you can tell partly by the fabrics used and also by the patterning. Nearby we have a jeweler dealer who is offering 25% off. Look at that amazing rope necklace in the middle. That is just gorgeous. Here's a whole lot of Art Nouveau jewelry, buckles especially popular in that period, and large pins, things that could hold your cloak together. Park Lane is a company that ran into the 1980s, an American company, and that's another name worth looking in costume jewelry. He's half price on all the cameos, and some of these are pretty good deals, it seems like to me, at least where I sell. I think there's room on some of these. Some are plastic molded, but a lot of these are carved shell, which are what are more interesting to me. Look how often the portraits face to the right, and how relatively scarcely you see them facing left. That's a clue as to why the ones that face left are usually a little bit more expensive. We're doing 15 each on the flower power pins, which is about where I price mine. There's a whole shelf full of tartan ware. Lots of letter openers and page turners. They would use page turners to not soil the books. They're usually a little fatter and not sharp compared to a letter opener. Lots of cute little cans and caddies and bowls, even a knife. Very popular as a souvenir in Scotland from the Victorian era up until about the Second World War. Fernware, where that came from?
Well, fernware was made in Morgantown, Scotland, 19th century. They also made tartanware. W.D. Smith and Company was the actual company.
Oh, they made the tartanware. Okay, yes. I've always been a fan of that.
And in 1870, they began to make fernware.
It's beautiful. I'm surprised I haven't seen pieces. It must be scarce, yes.
Yeah, this is very unusual.
It's almost, it seems like almost like a screen painting of a sort that they did.
They used different methods as the years went by. They used real ferns at first.
Oh, and actually used them as like print block.
Paint over, and then, they went through paper and all sorts of other fern things.
That is just wonderful. Well, thank you for the education. I love that. I've seen a lot of tartanware. I'm from the Northwest, and I've never seen a piece of fernware, so it must truly be as rare as it is.
The least amount was the fernware.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure it was, yes. And may I ask how much? This has a music box in it. I mean, that's fantastic.
That is also a beautiful, unusual piece.
Very unusual, yes. Oh, and there is your keyhole. Oh, beautiful.
Yes, it has the key inside.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
And that's priced at $2.95. That really doesn't seem bad at all for something as scarce as that.
We try to keep our prices reasonable.
Yes, I can tell.
Here's what it's more commonly.
Okay.
So you can see this one has a scene on it.
Oh, wonderful.
And
that's
then it was for
interesting.
matches. It has the striker underneath.
Right.
That's what it would have had. It's off now.
Oh,
That
that's
one's
very
$45.
interesting.
But yeah.
Wow, and so they did scenes
This is
and
more
cartouches
common.
and
This
things.
size, right.
Right, of course, yes.
This we have.
A lot of your things are really wonderful old antiques and true antiques. I see the trick dog, and it's so nice to see one that's the original and not a reproduction.
With its hoop and its little guy.
Yes, exactly. The hoop's almost always missing. Oh, that's wonderful. So, of course, if you press the lever, the dog jumps through the hoop and drops the money into the barrel.
He leaps.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
These folks are Lara Joyce Antiques in Westfield, New Jersey. So I was just talking to the two of them about how they obviously have a booth full of wonderful true antiques, and we were talking about the real world versus the online world, and you just said the most interesting thing about why people should come to shows.
Well, people should come to shows because at shows you can actually hold history in your hands.
Yes.
And you can buy it even.
Yes.
Or even just learn.
Or just learn about it.
Absolutely.
So that's the wonderful thing about coming to a show.
Oh, that's great. Well, I feel the same way, and that's why I'm still doing them. And thank you so much for being here. You have wonderful things, and thank you for showing us all about fernware.
Thank you. Bye now.
I've been telling people the truth when I say that part of the reason I do this is because I want to learn too. And I get to go out and see things that I wouldn't see if I just stayed in my booth or if I just sat and did things online. If you feel the same way, well, please join us here online and we'll talk about all these real world experiences. Do hit the subscribe button if you haven't. That way you can click the button to be notified of our future videos and have fun with us all over the country. Yes, you can get a Picasso print for under $100. These are from the 1990s. This was a reprint series of his 1950s originals. John Deere is a very, very popular name with collectors and with farm equipment users even today. And this shows why John Deere was so important, because he was the one who came up with the steel plow. And from that has come a giant company that sells industrial equipment all over the world. And their toys and their logos and everything about them are widely collected. This is fun. I had the Chevy plate that was from 1936 that I sold recently on eBay. This one is 1948, the Pacemaker, because it was the pace car at the Indy 500. And this is Warwick Pottery, same company that made my plate for them. This is right before Warwick went out of business, so this would be one of the last of their offerings for Chevrolet. Some fun 70s stuff here. Love the canister set for $30. If you have the wood piece to use for the Lazy Susan, the pieces that go on top of it are only $5. But I really like these Depression-era curtain pullbacks. They have $150 on the pair. They do glow under a black light, but they're really beautiful if you have lovely old drapes on a 1930s or 40s era interior. Only $10 on the fun, funky owl cookie jar from the 70s. I sold my funky cat cookie jar from the 70s yesterday. This one's a Lefton piece. Mine was California pottery. $40 on the Blenko sack vase from the 1980s. I had one of these for years. It's Lucite 1970s wine rack when people started drinking wine and storing wine at home more typically than they had in previous generations. I mentioned that Morgantown did mid-century modern pieces, and here's a good example. This smoky gray set is $200 for everything. It's got the pitcher, the stirrer, all of the glasses, and also the tall candlestick holders. And that was their logo at that point. This is going to be around 1960. And this was Blenko's greatest mistake ever. They did the 920 decanter, which stood straight up and had a point, and Winslow Anderson, their first in-house designer, was working on some variations of that, and one of them slumped over in the kiln and went sideways like this, and he said, "That's a great design." So they made cruets and small bottles in this shape, and it ended up winning the Corning Museum of Glass Award for the best piece of new glass design, I think in 1950 or 51, even though it was a mistake. I love stories where something goes right when you didn't even intend it to. Another nice Blenko piece with the gold band, 1980s and 90s label. This is 2001. This is Blenko with this really wonderful yellow opaline, and I'm finding that people really like this color because it's so strong. No, it does not fluoresce under a black light. They used other chemicals to get that effect, but it does have the Richard Blenko signature from when he was going around. The Blenko documentary came out on PBS around that time, and they were doing a lot of promotions, and so he was going around the country signing pieces. Well, I'm supposed to give a message to Kate at Follow That Bug that the plaid shirt guy is here, and here he is.
How you doing, Kate? Sorry I missed you.
And you're starting to film. You and your wife are fairly new
Just
collectors,
starting,
and you're
yes,
just starting to
the,
film.
SO Vintage.
All right.
It's a vintage.
That is awesome. I'm so excited. It's going to be fun to see the vintage world from the perspective of someone who's starting to just get into it and collect and really know it. So I can't wait to see what you do.
Well, thank you very much.
This is a very interesting old piece. 1844 presidential campaign flag for Clay versus Polk. Clay never made it to the presidency. He tried by throwing the election to John Quincy Adams in 1828 to keep things in the realm of the elites. It did not work. He tried to keep the Civil War at bay through forming the Compromise of 1850 between the northern states and the slave states. That didn't really work. So he tried really hard, but he's only known as an American statesman, not a president. This is quite an interesting display because they have all sorts of old flags and things that you rarely see. This is a great collection. This one is 1877, and well, I'll just show you what they say because this is my friend Derek and he does a lot of research. 38 star, Colorado's been admitted in 1876. And it is unusual to see this size. They've got a really interesting quilt. This is a really interesting collection. He always gets really great collections. Here's a 36 star flag that's all hand sewn. You can see the stars aren't terribly uniform, but where are you going to find another one of these? This is from 1865, right at the end of the Civil War.
Well, it was a full flag that was destroyed.
Uh-huh.
And so we saved the canton.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We're going to get it framed and mounted properly. And I just got it here.
It's really cool. It's almost abstract with the...
Right. And they're all hand cut, hand sewn stars as well, but it's single applique. You know, so it was meant to hang or fly in a lodge or something. It would have never been outside.
Right, it wasn't meant for outdoors because it wasn't strong enough. And then, yeah, take me around the rest of these.
The single stars an in-service flag, World War II in-service
Oh,
flag.
yes.
So son in service,
Yep.
or loved one in service.
Yep. Interesting, someone made that by hand. I've seen a lot. I know they produced
Yeah, they produced them, but that one's not a production one.
No.
This is a 45 maybe, or 48. I can't remember.
I think it's 5.
Yeah, that's a 45.
And then this
13.
one. Yeah, what is the story on this? It's U.S. Army Standard. Oh, so it's for the centennial. Okay.
1876 to 1890.
That makes sense.
Yeah, period, they don't exist.
Right.
I mean, truly, a 13-star period flag is so rare. I mean, the ones that are around still mostly are institutional.
Yes.
You know, because there's not enough.
They're in museums if they exist, yeah. And we all know that Betsy Ross did not actually sew it.
And Betsy Ross, that story is completely false. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Made up by her grandson.
Yep.
There's no period 13-star known in a round pattern.
Right, absolutely. That's my understanding too. So thank you for clearing that up. Well, you have an amazing collection as always. This is the 1794 newspaper announcing that the post office department had been created. Look how cute these child's coveralls from the 1920s and 30s are, and this apron. Just adorable. Children's furniture lasting this long, 80 years, 90 years, was not expected, of course. This is really neat too. This is tramp art. It's the Crown of Thorns pattern. And the table and chair set was all handmade by somebody to sell because they needed something to do. I really like folk art because it just feels real. It feels like something somebody did. And it's all unique. This doggy is one of the more fun hooked rugs I've seen with acorns and oak leaves. Looks like something from about 1920. Hooked rugs are definitely very collectible now. I am a big fan of these colors in quilts. When I went to the National Quilt Museum in Paducah, there were a lot of new quilts being done in these color schemes, and I just love the geometry. On the other hand, a good 19th century quilt and applique is a pretty special thing too, and this seems to be mostly all, from what I can tell, hand done, not machined, because you can see that the stitches are a little bit uneven. Really interesting blocks, lots of different patterns in this one. Well, I was instructed to give a message to Kate and Dagny, but I'm going to let these folks do it for themselves.
Hi, Kate. Hi, Dagny. It's Sabrina and Kenny.
Yeah. And tell us who you are for the folks who don't know.
I'm Kenny. We're from Milton. This is Sabrina. We're from Milton, West Virginia, and she's starting the Glass Vintage Fund and starting her eBay and whatnot deal, and came here and met this guy. So
that's cool.
George, yes.
Well, thank you. That was really fun, and I'll make sure they get the message.
The poster and ephemera people are in here too. This looks quite sinister. We're glad it turned out the other way. Love this. Darling, when you took out that National Service life insurance, I knew you really loved me because you want to be sure I'll be taken care of always. I've poisoned your food and I'm running off with Roger with your life insurance. Sincerely, your wife, Susan. This is Second World War, and people were starting to get burned out by working many, many hours in war industries, and that's when this poster came out. You want some fun? Well, remember this guy. You think it's hot here? Remember what they're going through. The whole point of this is that we all had sacrifices to make, and these folks were making big ones, so we could too on the home front. And it worked. These are related to the wax. You see very little of these because recruiting women to serve in positions to back up the war effort was a very new idea. And for a lot of women, it was far-fetched because they had been in a very traditional situation where they never imagined such. But for a lot of women, it was quite liberating because they learned skills. They got to choose their branch of service and where they were stationed, and did a lot of very, very important things in the war. And it really changed the way women viewed themselves and work and participation in the labor force. So much so that by the 1970s, women were asking for equal rights to men. Lots of political pins, lots and lots and lots. Cool little Wilkie tray here from the 1940 or 44 election. He ran in both, did not succeed in either. Okay, the half off table. Well, half off is a good price. That canister set for 19. I think it would sell for 38 somewhere else. This seems a little more recent than it looks.
No, it's fine.
A few pieces of Hull pottery. Hull's starting to sell, but not fast enough for me to pay that price. The cat creamer has great eyes. That's their Phila, with a Goebel mark under it. Interesting. So they source this from Goebel, and because of that, I think I'll take that for $12. Well, now I understand why I sold mine at $2.50. Look at this wonderful vanity set with all the pieces. New old stock. It looks like it's never been used.
Absolutely. That's the way I do things too.
It's even got the little flat mirror. 80% off marked prices in this booth, and I have to say she is rather spectacular. 1970s or 80s. Not high art, but very, very, very high contrast, and really kind of beautiful in its way. I wonder how much they want for this. I had a table with a mirror like that on it, and it sold. He has some interesting glass pieces. I like this tall one here. Tiffin Amberina, that's a pretty piece. Blenko did a pattern like this, and so did Bischoff. This is the Bischoff one with the more pronounced bubbles. Blenko's Vineyard is more of an internal bubble, not projecting off of the edge quite so much. Very, very pretty Fostoria heirloom piece here as well. I love that blue.
$75 on it.
I gotta think about that.
And how about the stand, actually? Once you took it off, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a dictionary stand, $18.95.
Mhm.
200 on it.
It's pretty neat. That's a good price with all the mechanics.
That's a fantastic. Don't need it.
I'm debating whether I do, but it is a good deal. And how much was she?
I do 15.
15? I'll take her.
Okay.
And also I wondered about the big orange, I don't know what you would call it, chalice?
I do $40 on it.
It's pretty cool. I have a feeling it would blow over and get broken in my space. I'll just take the mirror. Well, my friend here kept telling me he was in here, and here's his space. How are you?
I'm good.
Tell everybody your name.
My name is Jerry Strunk.
And
they call me the Taz Man.
I can see why. And where do you sell, Jerry?
Well, I just go to flea markets everywhere. So.
Oh, okay. So you're all over the place.
At the Monkey Flea Market in Greenville.
Oh, cool. Greenville, Ohio?
Yep, Greenville, Ohio.
Excellent. Minor league hockey seems like it's so popular. I'm surprised that you don't end up with a major team here, because I know Cincinnati, the Stingers are popular, and Dayton's got a team. Or does Dayton still have the team?
I don't think Dayton does it.
I think they're gone. That's right.
Actually, I think they moved. They were the one that moved to Cincinnati.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Because it used to be the Bandits. That's what that one is, the Bandits. Then they moved to.
Then they were the Bombers, and then they moved into town. Gotcha.
They moved down to Cincinnati, I think.
Oh, this is cool. The Sizzlers Fat Track Big O layout.
Yeah, it's complete track. Everything's in it.
Sizzlers were kind of a step above Hot Wheels by the time these came around. And you see cars not included, but if you had the cars, this is a pretty good kit. That's what I love about it too, is you find people who like what you like, and then you have a good time together. Gosh, it's hard to believe that Happy Days is 50 years old almost now. It's actually been longer since Happy Days was on than Happy Days was after the era it was supposed to represent, which is hard to believe. Well, we are scooting through this building. There are some newer things in this building, like new custom-made knives and things, and some other things that are really not antique, but most of what's in this show, and especially in these inner halls, is antique. Nice Blenko ewer on the right here. $69 is a very fair price for that. $68 for the big green piece from the 80s. That's also Blenko. A couple of Vasa Marina pieces. I sold my Never in Line experimental piece yesterday. $42 is a good price on the smaller one. And I just love the Cosmos line. It does not sell for as much as some of the other Roseville lines, but I think it's so cute. And $39, that seems like a great price on that little piece. $20 on the Fenton Pink Satin Ewer is a good price as well. And a little bit of fun jewelry here, lots of sparkly things. I see one set that I like. It looks a little strange on a surface, but it looks great when it's worn. I sold this in a magenta color. It got $37 on that particular set. And I never was able to identify a maker. I just thought it was neat looking. Look who we're running into. A whole bunch of people, actually. Good morning, everybody. We're out. We're out.
You brought power with you.
Sandy is so sweet with Laurel. She's teaching her how to push the cart with the puppies in it. So we have a bunch of fun people coming. We've already seen Kate from Follow That Bug and Jocelyn from Crazy Lamp Lady. But we have these folks I wanted to introduce. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hey guys, we're Coconut Gravy. I'm Michael.
And I'm Laura.
We do whatnot. We have our own YouTube channel. Some of you guys may have saw us.
Mm-hmm.
We really deal in kitsch and glass. We love Viking.
Have a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
We love what we do, and we wanted to meet this guy.
Yes.
Love this guy.
Thank you. Aw.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Well, I'm so glad you're here, and you found something, which is nice.
Check out this blue neck. Blue neck's our favorite color.
Me too. It's what I collect of theirs. Absolutely.
Isn't that gorgeous?
So nice.
It's just gorgeous.
You need to check out.
And a great deal. Great deals, guys.
Well, thank you. And tell us again one more time, what's your YouTube channel?
Coconut Gravy Flipping Crazy.
Awesome. Just had to show you one of these. I remember when these were considered so ultra modern. These phone booths that weren't really a booth. It just had the phone book hanging underneath, and then you had the regular old style payphone in this very modern shell. Most of these were scrapped a long time ago. This is an automatic electric. This is when you actually could pay as much as $0.25 to make a call. And it is sold, so I can't tell you what the price was, but somebody thought it was as interesting as I did. Metal furniture is still very popular. My neighbor has a bunch of this. He sold a red and white platform glider and a green one yesterday. I see prices in the $100 to $300 range, depending on the piece. Now, granted, it's simulated wood grain, but I like the black chairs. It's $100 with the 2 leaves and the 8 chairs. That seems like a phenomenally good price. Well, I walked over to the office to renew. They said they were opening at 11. The sign says open, but there's nobody here. Springfield's a wonderful show, and the promoters are very nice, but they really have their hands full. It can be hard to get calls back. You really want to renew while you're here, because trying to get your space afterwards can be very difficult, because then it's open to lottery. So
I will hope that they come around and ask for renewals. Otherwise, I'll be making my way back here later. Oh, look at the leaded glass on that. That's very nice.
There's another one inside the tent that has a desk under it.
Oh, yes, those are nice too. The more features, the better. And this is a Hales.
That one has drawers at the bottom.
Oh, yes, yeah. And this is Hales out of Herkimer, New York, not the Globe Warnke that you usually see. Very nice. How much do you get for a piece like this?
I think that one's $14.95.
Yep. With the leaded glass and the, oh yeah, I see you have a price tag here. You marked it down to $12.95, which is a very reasonable price with the leaded glass and the drawer and everything. Those extra features really matter in these.
All the glass is perfect.
And here is the Barrister bookcase with the secretary desk fold out. That's a really nice feature as well. A lot of times these leaded glass panes are broken. This one's $16.95. You sell on knickknacks and whatnot.
Yes.
And what's your name on there?
Juju 46. Junkyard dog #1.
This is Juju. Hi, Juju. Yes. And so what kind of things do you sell on those?
Vintage variety.
Yeah, nice. That's great.
Paperweights.
Ah, yes. Cool.
Everything.
Well, Jocelyn from Knickknacks is a friend of mine, of course, Crazy Lamp Lady for you folks who don't know. Knickknacks is on District and it is sponsored by her and a whole bunch of people. I think you've got like 22,000 customers and
yes.
the several thousand of you selling to them. So that's
yes.
a really great setup.
Yep. It's awesome.
I'm very excited for you. I hope it does very well.
To meet George today.
Oh,
yes,
thank you. Me
so
too.
Yes.
Lulu and Monkey, well, hello there. I'm glad you came to the show. Monkey looks like he would like to escape.
Oh, this is interesting. So this is the Iowa Haynes Motor Car Company, and I've heard of them. You rarely see their cars anymore. Founded in 1905. This
the
is...
label is inside that piece.
That is really cool.
It's an original piece out of the automobile company.
Wow, that's great. So this is one of the time clocks that people punched into. Fantastic piece. That's so great. And to have a connection to an obscure early automobile company is really cool. And very specific and priced at $375. I have to say, I think for, that's how that works. I think for what that is, that's a wonderful price. Somebody who likes early automobilia and clocks,
yes.
that would be the thing. This is like a radiator, isn't it? I see Angler Stove and Manufacturing Company in Cleveland. Look at the jeweling on that.
Slick.
That is really neat looking. I'm trying to think what you could use it for other than just a fun thing to look at now.
You put a board on top, coffee table.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Put a board on top of that, make a coffee table out of that.
That would work as a nice end table, you're right.
Log cabin kind of a thing, or perhaps.
Yeah. Gosh, that's really neat. Another version of the uncandle was this slanted piece there. This is around the time of the Uncola 7-Up, so that was a familiar phrase to people then. I have the set with the two tall cylinder pieces, but this one with the slant is a little harder to find. This is by Corning. These were very popular in the 70s with the floating candles. $15. Great old sign. Pause, drink Coca-Cola, $7.50. In that condition, in that size, these days with the way the market is, I would say that's actually probably a very fair price now. Vicks used to have sample drops. I've never seen the little sample bottles, $6 each. Those are very cute. When you see this purple and it's this deep a purple, this has been done by irradiating the glass. This is not natural from being in the sun. You'd have to have it in the sun for hundreds of years for it to get this dark. So this has all been altered, and most glass collectors are not fans of that. Pete Hoyer banjo, I like the soundboard with the 4-leaf clovers and diamonds. That's an unusual feature. Well, a little celebrity sighting here. I'm with a friend of mine, and you can see who it is right here. This is Jacob from Burner Brothers. You came out to film and say hi, and are you recruiting dealers, or do you have any space?
No, not at all. We're about a year out.
Wow. Yeah.
I came out to just a couple things. First off, the Jenkins that run the show are friends of mine.
Yes.
We've been longtime friends our entire life. And cross promote, like this industry needs more people working together.
It's really true. It's so important that the shows support the malls and the malls support and the online supports it both, and vice versa, because, I think at first when online came, everybody decided that, oh, you can just do everything on eBay, you can just do everything online, and then people kind of forgot all the wonderful, crazy, amazing things that are hard to ship or obscure, or you wouldn't know where to look online. And now they're realizing that
Oh yeah, there's a place for malls and real world and online, and they all work together. It's just cool.
And not only that, but to get to meet somebody in person. It's
Yes.
when you buy something from them, say thank you.
It's really true. It really is cool. It just makes it so much more personal. And also, you know, you can touch and feel all of it. It's not just, you know, it's not like, well, I'm seeing a picture and it looks good. It's like, no, you can tell if there's a little bit of damage, you're going to see it. If you know, a certain finish is what you like, you're going to be able to tell if it's that thing. So I just think people should come and have fun with us.
They should have fun, go out, explore. You know, and what I love is that our industry is growing so fast right now.
Yes.
I'm seeing it at every level. From
It's
young people
so amazing and cool.
Not only in people, the amount of people coming into the antique center, but the quantity and the quality is all starting to sell. I sold a bunch yesterday, ironstone, polychrome decorated ironstone plates that we've had sitting there for a year.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday, I haven't sold any for a long time.
You had wonderful selection of those too, I remember. And I remember thinking, boy, these used to sell and they're really beautiful. That's really good news.
And then they sold yesterday. We had a lot this morning. We sold a big variety of country furniture. Country furniture has been so soft for so long.
Yeah.
We sold like 4 pieces before I even came over here. It's been crazy.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah, and especially the fact that we had a little weather on Friday here. I'm sure you were mobbed on Friday. Oh, and by the way, for those of you who don't know, Jacob and his family are the new owners, relatively new owners of Heart of Ohio Antique Mall, which is probably the biggest in the country and sits about a mile east of here.
Yeah, it's really close.
Yes.
8-minute drive.
Yeah, so when you come out to Springfield next time, come see Jacob where he is because the mall is great. You saw the video the other day. They've got amazing stuff. So here's my neighborhood. I'll film real quickly here because I haven't really been able to get away.
Place, man. It's a beautiful job you got there, man.
It's a wonderful job, isn't it?
Man, you know, you get around and I've seen you all over the world.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm glad that you're having fun with it with me too. And I got to say, I think your stuff could sell anywhere in the world because you've got stuff from just about everywhere, don't you? Look at this, a Yankee pennant sold at the World Series. Yeah, where are you going to find that?
Yeah.
That is just great. Here's my neighborhood. A lot of newer toys, newer vintage jewelry, but also this place, Eclectic Cowboy. I have to say, hand-picked vintage goods. I see vintage in here, and I think there's a lot of cool stuff. And cowboy could be anything. Here's Kenny Rogers. Back in the day, boots sell. I sell used cowboy boots all the time. $25 is like a starting price, and then if they're good, they can go up from there. This is a cool dinette set. I like the fabric on the yellow. And it's nice that these fold down. And Afghans, well, I was going to bring more, but I didn't have any quite as vibrant as this. Can people find you online?
Yeah, I have an Instagram and stuff. I have business cards right there.
Okay, excellent.
A mint condition Dolly Playboy. So.
Oh, very cool. And the shirt, wow.
Yeah. And they made me a pretty good deal, so I can.
Nice. Yeah, I think there was good buying here this time too.
Yeah.
These neighbors have a lot of furniture. Victorian platform rocker. It rocks on the platform and it can roll. It can rock and roll. Doesn't look too rock and roll. They sit really low. That's the big problem with these. I think if you really padded it somehow, they could be nice to have. Lots of these drawers. These are still very popular. Everybody needs a place to stash their collections. Love these. My mom had a version of this. The exercise machine, as she called it. This is a nice piece from about 1900. I like Empire Revival. It's an extension of Empire style from the mid-1800s, and it really adapted easily to the industrial age because it was relatively simple and spare, and it's got a lot of geometry to it. I've seen people paint these really bright colors. It drives people nuts when I say that. I would say if they're in bad shape and peeling, then that's one thing. Otherwise, I would like to see them left as wood personally, because we already have a lot of cool stuff that looks like this as an option. I like this one because the gray and the gray actually would fit in with a lot of different interiors now. They have a carom board and a lot of luggage. Oh, I've got people in my booth. I better go, sure, take care of them. $225 each on the set of stools. The last time I had a set, I sold all of them for that price. Those days are over.
We sold an item for our friend and neighbor this morning. He's packing up now, and we're all getting ready to do the same. Although Sarah and Jason still have customers. So we have had such a fun time with viewers and all the people who watched this weekend. Furniture dealers have the hardest pack out, so they start earlier. Down to just their very pretty quilt table coverings. Hello there, how was the show? Good. I'm so glad. I had a really good show too. That's good news.
Great show. The weather turned out great.
Yeah, who'd have thought, because it started so poorly. Yeah, so this was just a mercy, and we're all so happy.
Yeah, we have sunshine.
Yay. This looks like it was a fun booth that I never really got to see. Everything from books to minerals. Just have to come back in September.
If you enjoyed this video, check out this one. Also, click thumbs up to like this video and check the description for information about our Patreon, our memberships. We've got a lot of different levels with different perks and bonus videos and early content. Also, please do check out our website, theantiquenomad.com, for appraisal help. And we'll see you again for more adventures in the antique and vintage community soon. Bye for now.